Story 1, The Evidence Room That Solves Its Own Cases. My name is Ethan Caldwell, former patrol officer of the Millhaven Police Department in Massachusetts. I'm writing this from a motel 2 states away, with the curtains stapled shut and the TV on mute just to hear something that isn't scratching. If anyone finds this, I need you to believe me. The evidence room at Millhaven doesn't just store evidence. It finishes the cases on its own. And it wants me back. Millhaven's precinct sits on the foundation of an old penitentiary that burned down in 1948. People always joked the place was cursed ground, but when you work nights, jokes turn into warnings. In my 3rd year on the force, I got assigned as one of the evidence custodians, a boring job, everyone said. Just log items, move boxes, update chain of custody forms. But the first night I stepped inside, something was wrong. The temperature dropped at least 10 degrees as soon as I passed through the door. Rows of shelves stretched into the shadows, the only light a single flickering bulb that might as well have been a dying firefly. Dust shouldn't move on its own, but I remember seeing motes shift like they were stirred by something passing by my left shoulder. I told myself it was old building nonsense. Drafts, loose vents, poor wiring. Then the boxes started rearranging. At first I thought it was just my memory being bad. The human brain isn't built for detecting tiny changes in a place filled with identical cardboard. But then I started marking them with chalk. Next morning, the marks were on different shelves. I filed a maintenance report. Nobody cared. By month 2, the room was actively cooperating with me. I'd be sorting through thousands of archived items when a certain case box would appear in front of me, one I hadn't requested, hadn't touched, hadn't even seen in years. It would contain something newly relevant to whatever case the detectives upstairs were stuck on. Always correct. Always perfectly timed. Detective Harlan Cross, yes, that Harlan Cross, the judge who later died in the courthouse fire, used to joke that the evidence room was our guardian angel. The joke didn't hold up once the things inside began to change. Because some of the old evidence bags, decades old, weren't dry anymore. The seals fogged. The surfaces felt warm. Some had dark stains that looked disturbingly fresh, though the incidents they came from were older than me. I told the captain. He told me to stop letting scary stories get to me. Then came the night the knife moved. It was from a murder in 1987, locked in a display case behind shatterproof glass. I was alone, doing the midnight inventory, when the lights flickered. A sound rang out, not loud, but sharp, like something tapping glass from inside. The knife was on the floor of the case. I know how insane this sounds. I know. When I reached in to pick it up, the handle jerked. Not slipped, jerked. Next thing I knew, a sharp pain shot through my palm. I yanked back and saw a puncture wound forming a rough cross shape. It wasn't deep, not life-threatening, but it was enough to send me stumbling to the sink. I didn't log the incident. I didn't want the report to be used as grounds for a psychiatric evaluation. I should have run then. The real nightmare started the night I found my own case file. I was cataloging old unassigned boxes when one slid across the floor toward me, stopping by my boot. The handwriting on the label was old, fading. Caldwell, Ethan, DOA, internal. I opened it because some part of me had to know. Inside was a set of photos. Not crime scene photos from any case I knew. These weren't even printed on police stock. They were wrong. Dark, too grainy, the angles impossibly close. They showed me being pulled into a wall by a tall figure in tattered judicial robes. A face like dried leather. The lower jaw unhinged far wider than any normal skeleton. Judge Harlan Cross. In the photos, the bricks behind me walked like wet clay, folding around my body while he held onto my wrist. I dropped the photos and stumbled back. When they hit the ground, the wall beside me groaned. A handprint sank into the plaster. Long, bony fingers. Nails like cracked stone. I ran, not stopping until I reached the parking lot. A few days later, I quit the force and left the state. I thought distance would help. I thought whatever haunted that building was trapped inside it. But 3 weeks after I moved into my rented room in Maine, a box appeared on my doorstep. No return address. No courier label. Inside was an organ, preserved perfectly, unnaturally clean, sealed in plastic. It wasn't from any case I recognized. But pinned to it was a note. Victim 1, coming soon. I burned the box. The next month, another arrived. Victim 2. Then Victim 3. Organs. Never bloody, just impossibly pristine, like they'd been prepared. And then came the box with a hand. Small. Child-sized. The note said, Victim 5, yours to investigate. I'm not getting these organs from old victims. I'm getting them from future victims. Victims of cases the evidence room wants me to solve even though I'm no longer a cop. It's forcing cases into existence. And it's punishing me for leaving. Every month, the scratching outside my door gets closer. Every month, another box arrives. And every night, I feel the wall behind me breathe. I know what it wants. It wants me back in that room. Story 2, The Guardian of Blackwood Ridge. My name is Deputy Riley Harper, formerly of the Smoky Mountain Sheriff's Office in North Carolina. If you're reading this, you've already heard the rumors about Blackwood Ridge, the disappearances, the strange lights in the tree line, the hikers who come down the mountain with blank eyes and no memory of their own names. I'm going to tell you the truth, there is something in the mountains. And I'm the one who feeds it. I was dispatched to the Whitlock cabin on a rainy October afternoon. An elderly local, Eleanor Whitlock, hadn't answered her welfare checks for 2 days. The locals said not to bother, that Eleanor had lived through worse, that she was protected. When I asked by who, they suddenly didn't speak English anymore. Blackwood Ridge isn't a place. Not really. It's a kind of pressure in the air. A hum beneath the soil. The trees lean inward like they are listening. If you hike too deep, your compass spins. Your radio crackles with voices you don't recognize. When I reached the cabin, Eleanor's front door was open an inch, creaking with every breeze. I announced myself, stepped inside, and immediately felt like I'd walked into a place that remembered me even though I'd never been there before. The living room was dim, lit only by the gray mountain light squeezing through warped windows. And Eleanor was there, sitting in a rocking chair, perfectly still. Her eyes were rolled upward, only the whites showing. Her jaw worked slowly, like she was chewing something tough and fibrous. Her chin and collar were smeared with something dark and drying. On the floor around her chair was a circle made of bones, small ones, maybe from animals, maybe not, arranged with unsettling precision, dusted with a thin layer of ash. "Mrs. Whitlock," I said. She didn't respond, but her chewing slowed. Then stopped. And then every door in the cabin slammed shut at the same time. Before I could reach my radio, someone grabbed me from behind. Rough hands. More than one pair. They dragged me backward, through the hallway, into the kitchen. By the time I got my bearings, I was tied to a wooden chair with rope that smelled like old smoke and pine sap. There were 6 of them, faces I recognized from Blackwood Valley, the mechanic, the school bus driver, the woman who sold honey at the Saturday market. Ordinary people. But their eyes didn't match their faces. Too bright. Too intent. Eleanor was wheeled in front of me. Someone sliced a shallow line along her wrist, and the blood trickled into a carved wooden bowl. They lifted my chin and forced my mouth open. "We pass it on," the mechanic said softly. "Every generation. Someone must keep it asleep." I spat, tried to buck the chair, cursed at them, told them they were all out of their minds. The school bus driver leaned close enough for me to smell tobacco and pine on her breath. "If the Guardian isn't fed," she said, "the valley dies." They poured the warm metallic liquid between my teeth, and I swallowed because there was no choice. The moment it hit my throat, the cabin seemed to tilt sideways. My vision went white around the edges, like frost creeping across a window. The last thing I remember before losing consciousness was Eleanor's dead white eyes suddenly snapping forward, looking directly at me. I woke in the same rocking chair where Eleanor had been. She was gone. The bone circle was gone. The cult, or whatever they were, was gone. But the ropes around my wrists were cut cleanly, neatly. And my left palm had a new mark. Not a wound, a symbol. A line crossing a curve, like a crude map of a mountain ridge. I heard whispering outside. Something brushing against the cabin walls. A slow, dragging step. The boards vibrated under my boots. Something massive was moving in the woods. I didn't see it that night, but I felt it. A presence standing just beyond the tree line, radiating hunger. Not the hunger of an animal, something older. A thing that knew it had a servant now. And I understood the truth, the valley didn't fear the thing in the mountains. It fed it. It kept their crops growing, their winters mild, their families safe. And now, I was its keeper. It didn't take long for the signs to begin. Animals left on my porch. Birds forming patterns on the fence. Twigs arranged on my pillow in shapes that hurt to look at. On the next full moon, I woke up standing in the woods with no memory of walking there, my hand smelling of dirt and iron. I should have run. God, I should have run that very first night. But then I heard it. A sound rising from the mouth of a cave near the ridge. Like a human voice stretched too thin, begging for something I couldn't understand. Pleading. Crying. Starving. The pressure in my skull became unbearable until I picked up the knife the mountain had left at my feet, a crude blade chipped from some black stone, and offered it a piece of myself. Just enough. Just a little. The pain told me I was still human. The relief told me I wouldn't stay that way for long. I live in Eleanor's cabin now. They left me her chair, her blankets, her notebooks full of phrases written in spirals. Every full moon, I feel the pull in my bones. I go to the cave. I do what needs to be done to keep it asleep. To keep the valley safe. If I stop, even once, they say the ridge will open, and whatever stirs behind that stone will come down swallowing houses, schools, entire families. So I feed it. And sometimes, late at night, I hear footsteps on the porch. Not human. Not animal. Something tall. Something patient. Standing there, waiting, making sure its guardian is still loyal. I wish I could tell you I have a plan to escape. But you don't escape a mountain that breathes. You just keep feeding it until it decides it doesn't need you anymore. Story 3, The Doppelganger on the Dashcam. My name is Officer Mason Reed. Former officer, technically. Depending on which news station you watched, I'm either a murderer, a disgraced cop, a symbol of systemic corruption, or a ghost. Truth is, I don't know what I am anymore. Because something out there has my face, and it's better at being me than I ever was. It started with a routine stop on the south end of Youngstown. Industrial blocks, abandoned mills, rusted pipes groaning like they still remembered steam. I pulled over a sedan with a broken taillight. Standard stuff. My dashcam was rolling. My bodycam was rolling. But when I got back to the precinct that night and filled out my paperwork, Sergeant Delgado asked why I hadn't logged the incident. What incident? I asked. He turned his monitor toward me. My dashcam showed me stepping out of the cruiser. Approaching the sedan. Talking to someone in the driver's seat. But this wasn't the broken taillight stop. The footage showed me pulling a young man out of the car, someone I had never seen in my life, forcing him to the ground, shouting commands I didn't remember saying. Then came the part that ruined my life. In the video, I drew my weapon. Fired. Holstered. Then calmly planted a baggie into the kid's jacket pocket. Afterward, the me on screen walked back to the cruiser, expression flat, unbothered. Like he'd just taken a coffee order. The footage was perfect. Sharp. 4K, audio synced. GPS matched. Timestamp plausible. But I hadn't been there. I hadn't done any of it. I told the sergeant it was fake. A deep fake, a hack, a glitch, anything. He looked at me the way you look at someone who's already sinking. The next morning the story was everywhere. Youngstown officer executes unarmed black teen, dashcam captures everything. Protests erupted. Crowds gathered outside my house. Social feeds were flooded with my name, my badge number, my face. My wife packed a bag and took our daughter to her mother's place until this settled down. My front windows shattered 3 separate times that week. Internal Affairs asked me to explain the footage. I couldn't. Not without sounding insane. They suspended me. Then came the death threats. But none of that compared to the second video. About a week after the footage went public, I woke at 3 a.m. to my phone vibrating non-stop. 20 missed calls. Messages from co-workers, reporters, numbers I didn't recognize. Someone had leaked bodycam footage showing me in another incident, this time inside a warehouse. The video showed me assaulting a suspect, dragging him behind a stack of crates, and ending his life in a way I won't describe. Not graphic on camera, but unmistakably lethal. In the frame's reflection, I saw something that made my lungs seize. The other me turned briefly toward the bodycam lens. He smiled. Not a grin. Not a smirk. Just a small, satisfied smile, like he'd been waiting for the camera to see him. His eyes were wrong. A little too bright. Movements a fraction too smooth, like frames missing between gestures. When I looked at his face, I had the nauseating sense that he wasn't impersonating me. He was me. Or what I would be if every ounce of restraint, morality, and doubt were stripped away. The media tore me apart. Half the country demanded I be executed. The other half swore the footage was evidence of corruption layers deep. But no one, not one person, believed the truth. The man in those videos wasn't me. He was something wearing me. I left my home the night someone set fire to my porch. I didn't pack. I didn't call anyone. I took only my service pistol and the dashcam from my cruiser. Because the dashcam, that was the first thing to lie about me. And maybe it could tell me something about why. I parked in an empty lot behind an old steel plant. Midnight air heavy with the stink of rain and metal. I pointed the camera at myself and pressed record. I'm not the man in those videos, I said. I never. My voice cut out. Not a glitch. Just silence. I tapped the housing. Static flickered across the small display screen. Then I saw him. Me. Sitting in the driver's seat. Same posture, same jacket, same haircut, but he wasn't in the car with me. He was only on the screen. Stop it, I whispered, my throat closing. Stop. The figure leaned closer to the camera. His expression softened into something almost gentle. Then he lifted a pistol, my pistol, raised it to his temple, and pulled the trigger. I felt something slam into my real skull. A pressure wave. A vibration through bone. I dropped the camera onto the passenger seat and fell forward, shaking. On the screen, the other me slumped sideways, then straightened. Smiling. Waving. He didn't fall unconscious. I did. I woke hours later to dawn creeping over the mills. My head ached like I'd been hit with a hammer, but when I checked for wounds, there was nothing, no blood, no bruising. Just the memory of the shot echoing inside my skull. That was the night I realized the truth. He wasn't copying me. He was replacing me, piece by piece, in the eyes of the world. Every time he appeared in a new video, uploading itself out of nowhere, my real existence dimmed. Friends stopped returning messages. My mother blocked my number after a fake call from me was recorded telling her horrible things. Even the DMV database replaced my photo with a still from the violent footage. I am vanishing from my own life. I live in a rented room now, under a fake name that feels more real than my real one ever did. Some nights I turn on the dash cam. I shouldn't, but I do. He always appears eventually. Sometimes he's sitting in the cruiser. Sometimes he's standing in a street I don't recognize. Sometimes he's inches from the lens, breathing softly, like he's listening to me think. He always waves. He's patient. He's efficient. He's me perfected, the version the world believes in. A few days ago, a news alert popped up on my burner phone. Officer Mason Reed found dead in alley, investigation ongoing. They didn't find me. They found him. And now that the world thinks I'm dead, I don't know how much longer I'm allowed to stay alive. Story 4, the missing persons unit that manufactures the missing. My name is Detective Lauren Sawyer, formerly of the Detroit Police Department's Missing Persons Unit, the one the news used to call miraculous, unprecedented, the gold standard of American policing. We had the highest clearance rate in the country. And that was exactly the problem. Because you can't solve that many disappearances unless you're the one creating them. I joined the MPU straight out of interdepartmental training. I was ambitious, sharp, hungry to prove myself. That unit was where careers became legends. Our commander, Captain Blake, looked like a politician in waiting, square jaw, perfect posture, a handshake like a clamp. Here's how it works, he told me on my first day, tapping a caseboard filled with faces. People want closure. Closure gets results. And we deliver. At first, I thought he meant we were just efficient, good leads, good instincts, good pressure on suspects. But within a few months, the patterns became too clean. Too convenient. We always identified a perpetrator. We always found remains. We rarely found survivors. And the remains always came in sealed biohazard bags I never saw collected at the scene. I remember the first case that broke my illusion. A 24-year-old mechanic named Andre Lewis vanished after leaving his night shift. We found his body 2 days later in a drainage ditch. But I had personally searched that ditch 6 hours earlier. It was empty then. When I told Blake, he gave me a look that stopped my breath. Bodies move, Sawyer. You'll get used to it. But he didn't say it like a man explaining facts. He said it like a warning. I started paying closer attention. Our morgue logs didn't match field reports. Evidence tags appeared with dates earlier than the victims went missing. Surveillance footage of suspects confessing showed micro-glitches, frames impossible to produce with normal wear or compression. And then there were the deliveries. Every Wednesday at 3 a.m., a private van with no plates rolled into the underground garage. The driver never spoke. He offloaded heavy coolers that were taken straight into the MPU cold room. I never saw inside those coolers. Not until the night everything fell apart. It was my rotation for after-hours duty. The building was quiet, the kind of stillness that makes fluorescent lights hum louder. Around 2:45 a.m., I saw Blake on the security feed escorting the van driver inside, early. I knew this was my chance. I disabled the nearest camera, used a stolen access card, and slipped into the cold room just as Blake closed the door behind him. He didn't notice me at first. He was too busy unlocking one of the coolers. When he lifted the lid, a blast of cold air fogged his glasses. He reached inside and pulled out something wrapped in industrial plastic. A hand. Small. Female. A silver ring still on one finger. I almost screamed. Not because of what I saw, but because I recognized the ring. My sister's ring. The one I'd given her for her birthday. Blake heard my breath hitch. He turned slowly, the hand still dangling from his grip like a prop. "Guess we're having this conversation sooner than expected," he said. I backed into a shelf. "Where is she?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. He tossed the severed hand onto the table like evidence in a briefing. "She's leverage, Sawyer. You good? Too good. I can't have you running off to internal affairs with half-baked moral outrage. So we gave you motivation." I couldn't feel my legs. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. "You're going to help us pick targets," he continued. "People nobody will look for. People nobody will fight for. You'll sign off on the cases. You'll write the reports. You'll be a hero. And if I don't..." My voice cracked. He tapped the cooler. "Then you'll get a matching part of your sister every week until there's nothing left to send." I shattered inside. I wanted to kill him. But I wanted my sister alive more. So I obeyed. For 8 months, I pretended. I selected victims the way Blake wanted, people teetering at the margins, the addicted, the undocumented, the invisible. Every time I tried to send an anonymous tip to state investigators, I received a Polaroid in my locker the next morning. My sister. Shackled to a pipe. Eyes wide with terror I had caused. Every week, I got another envelope. Keep going, Lauren. Each photo showed a different family member next in line. My brother. My father. My college roommate. They weren't missing yet. But they would be. Because the missing persons unit didn't just find the missing. We manufactured them. I finally reached my breaking point the night they assigned me a new target. A boy. 9 years old. He had parents. He had teachers. He had people who loved him. I stared at his file, hands shaking so violently I could barely turn the page. Blake waited beside me, arms folded. "You're one of us now," he said. "Don't lose your nerve." I closed the folder. Walked out. Grabbed what little I owned. And fled Detroit before sunrise. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not family. Not colleagues. Not even myself. I drove until the highway signs changed, then drove farther. By the time I stopped, I was in a frozen Alaskan town that didn't appear on most maps. I rented a cabin with a broken heater and a single lock that doesn't always catch. I hoped distance would help. It didn't. Because the envelopes kept coming. Every week. Forwarded through mailing centers across the country. Polaroids of people I loved tied to chairs. Shadows behind them. Hands holding their head still for the camera. On the most recent photo, someone had written, "Who's next, Lauren? I don't know how much longer I can run. I don't know how many more people they'll take to punish me. I don't know if my sister is alive. I don't know if I deserve to find out." The truth is simple. You can't hide from a unit that creates the missing. Because eventually, they run out of victims. And they start looking for you. Story 5. The House That Waits for You. No one remembered when the house first appeared on the northern edge of Ashpine Ridge. The locals said it had always been there, waiting. Watching. The kind of place that felt older than the road itself, older than the forest swallowing it. A wooden carcass with a roof like a broken spine, leaning slightly forward as if straining to hear footsteps approach. Elias Ward was a real estate photographer. Good money, good hours. He'd shot dozens of abandoned properties, but this one was different. The client hadn't given a name, only instructions: photograph the interior. Leave the files on the kitchen counter. Do not contact us. He should have refused. He didn't. The driveway was nothing but soggy earth and dead leaves. Fog gripped the tree line. Elias hoisted his camera bag and began snapping exteriors, wide shots, low angles, establishing frames. Every shot came out slightly off, crooked panels, shadows too thick, windows too dark. As he lifted the camera for another shot, he froze. A figure stood behind the second-floor window. Still. Silent. Facing him. Elias lowered the camera. The window was empty. He swallowed hard, shook off the prickle crawling across his shoulders, and stepped inside. The entryway smelled like damp soil and something metallic. The floorboards creaked as if reacting to him, groaning, adjusting, settling. His breath fogged in front of him even though the air wasn't cold. He started shooting. Click. The narrow hallway, wallpaper peeling like burnt skin. Click. The living room with a couch covered in a sheet soaked through with something dark. Click. The dusty chandelier swaying slightly though there was no breeze. He checked the preview display. Every photo now showed the same mistake. A dark smudge in the far corner of every frame. Always closer than before. Elias tried again, this time a quick snap of the staircase. The image made him gasp. A man, gaunt, face stretched into an unnatural grin, was crouched on the stairs, limbs bent wrong, head tilted too far to one side. But the staircase in front of him was empty. No footsteps. No breathing. Just empty. A cold wave surged through Elias. He forced himself to move. The job required a full interior set, including the upstairs. He climbed the steps, each groan of the wood sounding like something whispering under his feet. Halfway up, the overhead bulb flickered to life by itself. His phone vibrated. A new message, from an unknown number. Don't look back. Elias froze. He hadn't told anyone he was here. Another message came. It sees you. His pulse hammered. He turned anyway. Something was